So here it is, Muskets and Tomahawks version 2. This has been a long time coming for me. Really, one of my favourite rule sets was Musket and Tomahawks, the first edition, and I'm hoping this one will continue that trend. Yeah, so in fact, I've got my old copy just here, and you can see it's well used. So the binding's gone, and yeah, like this has been played to death. So that brings me on to my first point with this. It's hardback. The core rules are in hardback, so that's fantastic. I mean, I'm really chuffed with that. In fact, the presentation with the rulebook is top notch. They've really upped their game with this one. However, the supplement, which we have here, is not hardback, unfortunately. I imagine that's to bring costs down, but this is the one you're going to be sort of looking through the most. This is where your army lists are going to be. So what they're doing with this new edition, they have the core rules, and then they're going to be releasing supplements for each sort of theatre within the Black Powder period throughout the years. So everything from Napoleonic, the Sudan, and all sorts of, little sort of colonial wars and what have you. This first supplement is Redcoats and Tomahawks, which covers the wars in North America from the French and Indian Wars, American independence, and the War of 1812, which is a nice touch. So you can see, like, this is very thin. Like, that's the cover. I'm a little bit disappointed in the sort of printing of this. Obviously, it's keeping costs down, but I can see myself having to buy another few of these before I'm done with the game. So, talking on quality of the components here, it also comes with cards. So in the original rule set, it came with cards. A word of warning, you will need to sleeve these. These are particularly thin compared to the previous edition. They were a lot thicker. The quality of the printing's fine. It's just the actual card that they've used, it's quite weak. So I've sleeved these. If you're interested, it's like magic card size. So these sleeves fit them quite well. So that'll give you an idea what sleeves you need to get. The card system is slightly different. So you kind of have a hand of cards instead of just drawing from the top of the deck. But we'll have a look at that later. So what we'll do, this is going to be more of an overview than a review because I've not played the game yet. I've only just received it. In fact, before I forget, you also get tokens with this game. So before you had to print them out from the sheet at the back of the book. Now it comes with tokens. They've on one side is French, the other side is English. These seem pretty sturdy. The one thing I will say though is, sorry, I feel like I'm picking it already. Is I'm not too keen on sort of like the art style, all the different colours and that. Sort of it'll look a bit jarring on the table. I think I like sort of like as little tokens as possible. Particularly, I'm not a fan of these big sort of colourful ones. But it does make it easier to see what's what. So that's those. So we'll have a look at the rulebook first and then flick through the supplement. So first, like I say, the production value of this particular book is very well done. Everything's laid out very nice. The photography's great. So you've got your introduction there. So this uses D10s, this new edition, which I'm all for. I think for too long, a lot of these systems sort of fall back on the 6-sided dice. When I find D10 has more, you just get a bit more variance, from the higher sort of the more sides that you have on the dice. But so that's a good thing, I think. Particularly when it comes to small skirmish games like this, it adds a bit more character to it. So you've got like in here you've got 3 scenarios. Most of your scenarios and your flavor and theme's going to come in the supplement. This is basically your core rules. So this is telling you what the game's about, how it plays, and yeah, the sort of terms and sort of terminology of like the disciplines and stuff like that, troop types, formations. There's similarities between this and the first one. Like I said, I've not had a proper look through this, though I have sort of skim read it. So you have a hand of cards instead of, drawing the top from the deck. You also have command points, similar to say like the new edition of 40k, but instead of using it for re-rolls, you can sort of do different actions. So you get special actions you can do by building up these command points. You get command points by playing your opponent's card, I believe. So if you sort of have a hand of cards, you may have your opponent's color, and if you play them, they get to move their guys, but you get a command point. So there's sort of a benefit to that. You've got clock cards, which are a bit like the event cards from before. You got your command abilities, so this is through your command points. You've got spotting again, which is great. I'd like the spotting in the original, but it looks like this will be used a little bit more than before. So there's a spotting table there. Yeah, like this is great. Like these sort of like the photography in this is fantastic. Nicely painted miniatures, all in good little dioramas. So you've got your different terrain. There seems to be more of an emphasis on terrain in this, like the difference between terrain. Shooting procedures. I think that's much the same, but also you've got a D10 instead, so there's a bit more sort of variation there. Got reactions, so like your morale tests. Hand to hand. So in this edition, it's a lot more involved than it was before. Before it was pretty sort of basic, but they've kind of expanded on that. So good reaction tests. So they've changed the disciplines, like the regulars and all, irregulars and all that, sort of like how the morale thing. It's essentially the same morale system, but they've changed some of the terminology of it. So officers can now, you have an option to duel as well, to call out for duels, which is great. Adds another sort of element to the game that's thematic to the period. There's all your different weapons. You also have more weapons in here now. That's to cover the different periods as well. So there's your terrain charts. It'd be nice for them to have had a sort of like ribbon as a bookmark. I do like books with ribbons, it just helps find what you need to find while you're gaming, particularly like when you're first getting into a new game. You've got night fighting in here, your weather, assembling forces, so it's like mustering your troops. A few scenarios, so there's only 3 in there to begin with. Intrigues, so these are kind of like your side plots before, so you can allocate them to your officers, and they can have these little sort of side missions to do, and then you have sort of like a trade-off between sort of, you get these gifts if you achieve your objectives. Because again of the D10, you have so many more than you did before, which the more the merrier. So this is your reference sheet, and there's your tokens on the back there. So yeah, like I say, very impressed with the production quality of the rulebook. So what I'll do is I'll leave this video here and then come back and we'll have a look at the supplement. So that's that one there.